viewers and listeners, and welcome to this special program of Catholic Broadcasts. Now, Father's Day is celebrated on the third Sunday of June annually, and today on the 17th of June 2018, we celebrate and honor fathers. Our guest today on our program is Mr. Ryan Sampson. No stranger to many, but he is a former altar boy from the cathedral. He spends in his spare time watching sports and gardening, and is a member of the Guyana National Rifle Association. Besides that, he is a member of Marriage Encounter Guyana, which many of you are familiar with. Mr. Sampson, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, Joshua.
So, our main topic of discussion today is on fathers, as we celebrate Father's Day today. First of all, happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you very much. I nearly said and same to you.
So we'll get right into our questions. And how many years of fatherhood have you experienced?
Well, I've been married for 20, and biologically I've been a father for 19 years. But what I'd like to say though is that before I actually became a father, because being a Sunday school teacher and also being part of the altar staff, I was actually fathering children. From out of the Sunday school in particular, I can recall there's a little girl, I don't want to call her name now, but she was in my first communion class, and she was going to Sacred Heart Primary School at that time. So what she did, she used to come to my workplace and ask me to photocopy her work, ask me to buy things for her assignment. So I was doing things without even realizing that I was doing fatherly things. Eventually she did pass for bishops, which I feel so proud of at the time. So even though I wasn't biologically a father, I was a father figure to her at that point of time.
And I forgot to mention in my introduction, he's a father of many. And he is a parishioner of the St. Joseph Husband of Mary Parish on the east bank of Demerara, a father of many to many young people in that parish. Moving on, quite happily, what was your initial reaction when you found out that you would become a father?
That information or that news left me dumb. I became afraid because the whole thought of you're a dad, of a child being born, of the responsibility that I now have to take, I mean, that alone, I think, is the fright that had me dumb, actually. And then joy came into being afterwards, you know, knowing that someone with your genes would be coming into this world, that you would have to take care of this child and so on. So myself and my wife were quite happy about that news. But the initial reaction was a frightening one, because remember, you've never been a father before, you don't know what to do, what to expect, you know, these kind of stuff.
So in what ways have you made your Catholic faith a part of your role as a father?
Wow. You know, when you're growing up as a young Catholic, there's no teaching about how to be a father, you know, and therefore you have to emulate good fathers that you see out there. Now, that is not the easy thing to do. For one, I came from a single parent family. So coming from a single parent family, there's no reference to what your father did, how he treated your mom, how he treated you as a child, or how he treated your siblings. So there's nothing there for me to actually reference. So for me, I had to look at someone, which would be funny to say, but this person was not a biological father, but he had qualities that you can emulate in any other father. And I think even my friends actually emulated him. He had the qualities how to treat you if you make a mistake, correct you in a nice way, pick you up back, encourage you, be at the right occasions that you're celebrating, these kind of stuff, you know. So there's the kind of person, and that person is Father Montrose, you know. So there wasn't a real father there for me, but a father figure is what came into my life at the age of 12. And he is still there in my life with all my decisions that I have to make. He's always there.
And that brings us to our next question. You spoke about father figure, and I want to ask, do you believe having a good father or a good father figure while growing up is the key to successfully carrying out the duties of a father?
Carrying out the duties of a father. You know, father figures can help, yes, but it's a challenge because there is no textbook out there to tell you if this is done, how to do it, or if you have something to do, how to go about doing it. You have to like learn on the job. You have to look and see what other parents may have done. You may have to make a rash decision, a good decision, but a father figure can help, and it's a hard job. So the more support mechanisms you have in place, other fathers, if it's a group, I'm part of ME, so we as fathers, we meet, we talk, that can also help you.
Okay. And if you've just joined us, you're tuned to Catholic Broadcast, a program produced by Catholic Media Guyana. And our guest today is Mr. Ryan Sampson. And as we honor and dedicate our fathers today on Father's Day, we will walk him through some questions pertaining to fatherhood. Okay. It has been observed that men and young men in general are likely to show as compared to females. What do you think this is? Why do you think it's so? They're likely to show their feelings to fathers because you know there's a saying that females are more attached to their fathers.
Yes.
So why do you think in your point of view men are not the same?
You know, this is a funny question because it's Father Montrose and myself had this talk already, and he says that it's like a Caribbean man's thing, a macho thing, in that we don't express our feelings easily because it can be misinterpreted as being soft.
Yes.
So you find that men on the whole do not like to express their feelings, hugging, kissing, and so on. They may do it in the privacy of their home, but to do this in an open manner, yes, it is quite hard. So it's something that maybe we have to start from the younger men, the younger boys, instilling in them that it's good to be open to express themselves, to express love for others without feeling in any way less manly, you know. Whereas for the females, they're kind of like naturally loving, you know, so it's easy for them to hug and kiss and so on. But I think it's something that has been instilled from the boys from small, so that even when they now become adults, it's hard for them to express the love for the wives and children and so on.
So do you believe more emotional expression from the male population should be encouraged?
It should. It should. And I think it will all go well if it is encouraged from an early stage. Like presently, the amount of men that have been killing their wives and fiancé, it's on the rise.
Yes, it is.
And I am thinking that if they had really loved, even if they were hurt, I think if they really had loved that person so much, they could have forgiven them. Or just walk, you know. Don't react at that point in time, just walk on, do something else until they're calmed down instead of reacting at that point of time and doing something so horrible and regretting it in the end. Yeah, so I think society or homes, I think even within our homes, if we can start as a small unit, fathers should teach their boys how to be loving and so on, and then each family doing it eventually is going to affect the society as a whole. So this could happen in the long run, but for now we have to tackle it as a society and see what best we can do.
Okay. If a father has a visible negative effect on the lives of his child or children, how would you suggest he go about improving his character? For example, drinking, smoking, abuse, and you just mentioned an abuse just now. What would you suggest?
That's a trick question. Having a negative effect on your child or children, I think it would have to start with the person themselves, realizing that their action or words are having a negative effect on their children or family. And from that, I think they can then make a decisive decision to cease it, to change, and maybe they should consult with the loved ones to say, okay, I know I did this, I know it's affecting you, but I'm going to try and change, and I need your support also. I may backslide a bit, but if I do, forgive me and just encourage me to continue going. And eventually they may be able to change their ways and habits and so on, and they can have a happy life. So hopefully that can work. I'm not saying it would, but at least that's one action that they can take to firstly accept that they are having this issue and that they're going to try to change it.
So we're about to pull the curtains down on our interview this morning, whereby we interview Mr. Ryan Sampson, a father from the St. Joseph the Husband of Mary Parish on the East Bank of Demerara. Mr. Sampson, maybe my final question, not too sure. Based on your experience and some common faults of fathers, what advice would you give to young fathers in today's society?
You know, to say common faults of fathers is very hard on fathers. It's not that we know all the right things. It's a job that we learn, or the skills that we learn on the job, basically. So there are times when we do make mistakes, regrettably, and it was never intentional. You know, you had the best intentions and all, but then things doesn't work out, and it ended up hurting friends, family, and so on. So faults of fathers, I think there are times when fathers can be a little selfish in that they may just think about themselves only, disregard their family totally, or disregard the effect of what they do on their family. There are times when they do not take the responsibility, especially financially, taking care of their family, ensuring that they're well provided for. Instead, themselves drinking. Not that drinking is bad, but everything in moderation is good, you know. So there are small things like that. Expressing love to their children is another thing that you find not happening nowadays. Fathers not hugging their children, showing them they love them. I now recalling a few weeks ago, I spoke to my small daughter on the phone, and at the end of the conversation I said, "Love you," and then there was a blank, and then she said, "Okay." And the next day at home, I kissed my bigger daughter, Eliana, Shania, and by the time her mother came home, they asked their mom, "Is something wrong with that?" You know, but for me, I just felt that need to show love to them, and I would encourage fathers to express from time to time, or if they can do it all the time, the love to their children so that they can feel loved, wanted, and so on, you know. And I think that will even boost their self-confidence, you know. Children would also remember things like that for a very long time. Attending PTA meetings with their children, for their children, being at their graduation, you know, those little parts in their lives that is so significant, to be sure that you're there to encourage them. And when they do fail, not to chastise them, but to walk through the whole thing of saying, all right, you can do better, pick them back, dust them off, and walk with them again. Yes, go through that journey. So the end, when you're gone to the great beyond, they would be able to reflect and say, you know, if Dad was here, he would have been proud of me of what I did. Or if Dad was here, what would he have done? And base their decisions on how they think their dad or mom would have done it. So I think that would be some of the things. So I would just want to emphasize more on the things that I think dads should try to do to encourage their children to become good Catholics, be light of the world. As Marian Academy, their thing is to become a light. So I think this our whole goal as fathers is to ensure that when we finish, our children can stand on their own and they can make proper decisions, and that we will be proud of them eventually.
Well, there you have it, listeners and viewers. Interview based upon fathers as we celebrate Father's Day today. And on behalf of Catholic BG Initiative, I would like to take this opportunity in wishing you, all our fathers and father figures in our country and beyond, a very happy Father's Day. Before we close our program, Mr. Sampson, is there anything you would like to say?
Yes. There's a saying that all men can be fathers,
Yeah.
but not all men are fathers to their children. So, what we as men should try to do in the future, or for our future now, is to be fathers to our children. Because we've already fathered them, we've already made them, but now our job is to be fathers to our children.
An advice, a little tip there from Mr. Sampson. Well, on that note, we will close our program, and I'd like to thank you for taking time off of your busy schedule, for being with us here today. And we do hope that your children have something surprising for you on Father's Day.
Thank you, Joshua.
We wish you all the best, and once again, Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to your fathers from Catholic Media, and this has been a Catholic Media production.